Good evening. My name is Daniel Sanders from Maccabi Canada, and welcome to tonight's conversation with Eric Holtz. Eric Holtz is the current manager for the Israeli national baseball team set to compete at the Tokyo Olympics in 2021. Holtz managed Team Israel in all the qualification tournaments leading to the games, which included statement wins over Germany, as well as baseball powerhouse Netherlands. Prior to taking the helm of Team Israel, he was an assistant coach at Manhattanville College and Westchester Community College, as well as he is a proud Maccabi Games alumni, serving as the assistant coach for Team USA en route to their gold medal in 2013. And he earned another gold while coaching the American under-18 team at the 2017 Maccabi Games. But before we bring in Coach Holtz, I'd like to introduce my special co-host for the evening, Olympic silver medalist Dylan Moscovitch.
Hey,
Dylan, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing great. So now you're here, Dylan. Let's welcome Coach Holtz in the only way we know how, by showing the moment they clinched a berth in the 2020 Olympic Games.
Derek Bayless delivers. Danny Valencia hits it high and deep to left field. This ball's way back there, and this ball is gone. A 3-run bomb for Valencia, and Israel has a 10-run lead in the top of the 8th. They're 3 outs away from going to the Olympics. No doubt about that when all you had to do was watch Andrew Norman, the left fielder, who turned around and gazed up into the sky. Right-hander is working quickly, and he comes home. And this ball's flown out to right field. Simon Rosenbaum reaches up, and that's the out that ends it. We could say it, it's official. Next year in Tokyo, Israel's going to the Olympic Games.
Awesome video.
I had chills watching it again. It's been too long, man.
So first off, how are you? How are your family doing during this unprecedented pandemic?
Thank you. I'm doing, really well. Obviously considering what's going on. Thank you. My family also is doing, pretty well through this. My daughter is a pediatric oncology nurse in New York City. Some days she's dealing with oncology and COVID patients. So she's kind of right in the middle of all this craziness, but everybody's doing well and just real happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you for joining us tonight. So let's go back to before the qualification for the Olympics. You weren't the manager of the 2017 World Baseball Classic, but I'm sure you watched it quite closely. Israel was 41st ranked in the world. That definitely was the spark for baseball in Israel, for a momentum, for what we see today. So how do you think that tournament and the momentum from that helped the journey to where we are now?
So I'm going to go back even a little bit before that, Dan, if you don't mind. The way this really kind of started was truly when Peter Kurz asked me to take over as the head coach of the Israeli national team, was when he found out that I was coming back for the Maccabi Games in 2017. In 2017, the U.S. won a gold medal on Tuesday. Wednesday, I became the head coach of Team Israel. And I had a week to train these guys and then literally get on a plane and go to Serbia. And with a pretty good team, not a great team, we lost to Austria in the championship of the B pool. And it was after that Peter and I kind of sat down and trying to figure out what it would take, from an arsenal of players to be able to compete. Then the World Baseball Classic happened. So these guys did so well at the World Baseball Classic. It was just kind of a natural to see if these guys were interested in being part of the Olympic run and going through the process of making Aliyah to be able to do so. So it was definitely the momentum of the World Baseball Classic that definitely got the interest of some of the players to want to go to the next step and commit to go through the process of Aliyah.
What's the process like for you when you're determining, finding these players that come from various backgrounds, live in different places, play different, on different teams, they've been brought up in a different system. How do you combine these athletes to make a team that will be the most cohesive possible and the most effective?
Dylan, that's a great question. In baseball, as in a lot of different sports, there's a lot of different things that you do to marry, and cohesive's a great word to use, but it starts with recruiting, and whether it's word of mouth or whether it's scouring, the analytic part of baseball today and talking to minor league and major league scouts, talking to college coaches, talking to guys who have been involved but maybe not as involved in Judaism. And is it something that they, want to get into? From there, not unlike anything else, then we put everybody together positionally and try to figure out, what our best case scenario is. How many starters do I have? How many lefties do I have? How many relievers do I have? How many games are we going to play in a day so I know how many position players we need? How many catchers? How many corner infielders? So it's really kind of put together, no different than any other baseball team, just different being Jewish and finding them early enough, because again, they have to go through the process of making Aliyah to be able to be eligible to compete in the Olympics.
Have you had interest in this whole process from players that wanted to participate but were not willing to make that commitment and make Aliyah?
There were a couple of guys and again, I don't know that it wasn't that they didn't have interest. They might have been at a weird time in their careers where they couldn't take the time off. The process itself is a lengthy process. It takes a couple months to get all the paperwork and the background checks and the FBI stuff done. Then you literally have to go to Israel, spend some time there, speak to the ministry, and be interviewed by all the proper authorities in Israel. And certain guys just didn't have the time to be able to dedicate to doing that. What this process did do was take a lot of guys that may not have grown up in heavily Jewish homes, and it really reconnected a lot of these guys that did go through this, to their heritage and their family's history, which was really, really cool. And we could talk about that later, where it was incredibly difficult to find. We had a couple kosher guys on the team. It was incredibly difficult to find kosher food, let's say in Lithuania. And Jordy, who's the current president of the IAB, the Israel Association of Baseball, found like a Chabad 100 miles from the hotel so that we could have like Shabbat dinner together. And these are guys that didn't grow up with a whole lot of Judaism in their house. So it made it really, really interesting for these guys. And then as Dylan talked about, that was just another part of kind of what just brought everybody together toward that common goal.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because, I mean, with these kind of extenuating circumstances where you have to bond together in a very quick amount of time, turn around and become not just a baseball team, but a unit, a family, do you ahead of time kind of have an idea who on the team is going to take those leadership roles? And, do you rely heavily on them stepping into those roles and making sure that they do, deliver as leaders and kind of bring that team together so that you guys can execute at once?
Dylan, that's another great question. And for me, as the head coach, you have to remember that when we get to Bulgaria, I have like 2.5 days, 3 days to really get to know these guys before we start competition. So the personality and the leadership type thing, it just happens. Nobody's made a captain. Nobody's made a leader. It's how you handle yourself, how the other players kind of look up to you or react toward you. But we had guys step up in every facet of what this team needed, whether it was on the field, off the field, in the bullpen, in the batting cages, on the field, in the hotel. We have one guy that really spends a lot of time, doing visualization and meditation. So each guy kind of found their own niche within the team. The one thing I think that's probably one of my best traits as a coach is I make it clear to everybody, and this isn't just Team Israel, this is just me as a coach, that nobody's bigger than the team or the game. And, everybody is going to get the same respect that they give. And the players just kind of feed off of, that type of positivity for me and that type of energy for me. And then you would see a different guy kind of just, step up every day.
You just touched on something saying that nobody is bigger than the team, but you're going to the Olympics, you're wearing the Star of David on your chest, you're walking with the Israeli flag. Jews, we don't have the greatest, love affair with a lot of the world, and there's a lot of pressure on them in all facets of life. And in the Olympics, when there are only 6 teams in this tournament, there's a lot more that these players and you as a manager are going to have to deal with than just baseball. So does that play a role in your mindset? Does that play a role in your conversation with the players and how you prepare for the tournament?
Absolutely not. I cannot tell you how proud I am to wear this color and this shirt and this logo on my chest to show the entire world. Now, we couldn't do that in Bulgaria. We couldn't do that in Lithuania. We couldn't do that in Germany. And we were very limited to what we were able to wear when we weren't on a field because we are Israel and we are Jewish. For me, that's what makes this even more special, that a country the size of New Jersey, who, has been treated, not always the most positively, throughout the history, is one of 6 teams and we were the first to actually qualify, right? Japan, because they're the host and then the number 1 team in the world as far as rankings. But little Israel, who people looked at kind of like the Jamaican bobsled team, was the first team to qualify, and our guys couldn't be more proud. We will not let anything, including that, deter us from what our job is. And our job is to represent Israel in the most positive fashion and to show people that we are building baseball in Israel. And those are our goals. I mean, we can talk about the game and how I approach the game, but for me to have little kids in Israel watching these guys represent their country and saying, you know what, one day that could be me, then I'm the happiest guy going.
What better motivator too? You know, for myself, when I went to Sochi, I was the only identifying Canadian Jewish athlete on a team of about 220. It was before I went to the games, I didn't grow up with a ton of Jewish friends. I had some, but figure skating is not a very popular sport in the Jewish world. But I had people contacting me throughout the Jewish community, and I had gone to Birthright already and kind of made a connection to more of my Jewish heritage and to Israel. What a great opportunity for these players to be able to not only represent Israel on their jersey, but also to do it together, and to, for you to be able to create a culture and an environment where everyone feels proud to not only defeat those odds, but to show the world that, we are baseball too, and we're here. And I mean, kudos to you to be able to lead that team and to make them feel that pride.
No, I appreciate it. One of the great things for me, we have some big time guys on the team right now. One of my favorite stories truly is 9-year MLB veteran Danny Valencia. Danny Valencia, like, he never really was known for being Jewish. There aren't a whole lot of MLB players that are Jewish. I keep a picture of Danny's bar mitzvah photo on my phone, and I then found out that Danny grew up a practicing Jew. His father, was Spanish. His mom is Jewish, and he is a practicing Jew. So for him, and for guys like him who may have been like you in Sochi, like one or a few, that's kind of the beauty. Like, we're all Jewish. Everybody here is Jewish, and we share that, and it's okay for us to talk about it, and we're proud, and we're sticking our chests out, and some guys are a little bit crazy, but we're that together. So the 24-man roster and the coaches and everybody is wearing that Israel, like, loud and proud, and we're together.
So you had the chance to wear the Israel loud and proud, as you said, in Germany, and you beat Team Germany. So what was that like, playing in that country and, of course, beating the home team?
So this is one of my favorite stories, Dan. I'm going to have to take a little time here to explain
as much as you want,
if that's okay. So we started out in Bulgaria, and in Bulgaria, we were still in what's called the B pool. So there's an A pool, a B pool, and a C pool. Israel was in the C. We got to the B. We lost in the championship to Austria in 2017. So we're in the B, hoping to get a shot to go to the A, which is in Germany. All we did was go 6-0 in Bulgaria against some real tough teams, Greece, and we beat Russia twice. Russia, we later found out, used, I want to say, 5 or 6 Cuban nationals who were given Russian nationalist status, which was kind of phony. We found out months later. Even with Cubans, we beat them twice. We go to Lithuania to play a 2 out of 3. We beat Lithuania pretty badly. I mean, it was 2 games. If I remember correctly, it was like 13-1 and 15-0. And now we're in Germany. And Germany is 12 teams, 5 make it to the Olympic qualifier in Italy. So the way our schedule kind of worked out, we won the first 3 games, and now we have Germany. So with 3-0, I think we beat Great Britain, Sweden, and off the top of my head, I can't think of the other team right now who we beat early, but we have Germany. Now, the atmosphere in Germany, there are thousands of people. I've never been to a baseball game like a baseball game in Europe. In between pitches, there is rave music blasting. I mean, blasting. I have video somewhere on my phone. I could send it to you. It's insane. Like the crowd is just constantly pulsing and waiting for something to happen. And for me, at 54 years old, obviously, the World War II and the Holocaust and just to be Jewish and to be allowed to be in Germany competing against Germany, like it gives you chills, right? We walk into the stadium to play Germany. They're the host team. It's like Darth Vader in Star Wars, right? Like they're wearing their black jerseys and this music's playing. And you look up and, not to be creepy, the stadium was sponsored by the Bonn. So we were in Bonn, Germany, the Bonn Gas Company. Think about that for a second, okay? So here, right, you got a team full of Jewish guys playing against Team Germany, and the field is sponsored by this. Really, is this really happening? And I turn around, and let's say there's like 4,000 or 5,000 people there. There's 3 people sitting in the stands wearing Team Israel baseball. The fact that they were allowed to be there is incredible, right? We go into the last inning. We're tied 2-2. Germany leads off the top of the 10th on a ball that was kind of misplayed by one of the outfielders. So what should have been kind of a routine single, he dove, the ball got by him, man on third, nobody out. Man on third, nobody out. We bring in a closer, John DeMarty. This guy is just special. Runner on third, nobody out. I say it again. Runner on third, nobody out. John gets the first 2 guys, to strike out and, like a ground ball. We get out of it. The bottom of the 10th, we walk off on Germany. In Germany, thousands of people just sitting there in disbelief. Little Israel came to Germany and beat Germany on their own soil in the Bonn Gas Company stadium field. I'm sorry I don't have it with me because I keep it in my office, but through this entire run, that is the only baseball, the only game ball that I kept for myself. And it's just the final score and the date. And that game ended. And my daughter, I didn't mention, was also Team Israel's nurse. We just hugged and the chills. And it wasn't just a baseball game, man. Like to have this opportunity. Neither one of my parents are here. They're both gone. It was something that just filled your heart. It was like you were playing for more than just this game. You were playing for all these people. And to have that opportunity made this just incredible.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Listen. So I know it really, and when I think about it, still I get chills.
We're all getting chills.
I'm a pretty emotional guy to begin with. When I think about stuff like that, again, and how heavy that was for me, hearing Hatikva played in Germany, this is insane. This is crazy. So yeah, that was definitely, one of the highlights through the process. And like I said, for me, it's just, something that, again, I'm not calling us heroes. We're not heroes. We're baseball players. But at that moment, after the game and on the bus going back to the hotel, I tried to explain to the players. Now, obviously, they all know about World War II and the Holocaust and the 6 million that were lost. But when I broke it down and we talked about the relevance for the Jewish community and how cool this was, like this feeling of euphoria kind of sunk in. And I'm not saying they got melancholy, but it hit these guys because they're kids, you know, they're in their 20s. And for Coach, I'm a goofy guy, I'm always messing with the guys. So for me to kind of, you know, make it a little bit heavier for them, it was kind of like, wow. And I, you know, when we talk about stuff like that, when we have team meetings, you know, guys will go back to that as just one of the special occasions that the team shared together.
Did you find that win and that experience was pivotal for the team? Like, did you see? Obviously, you guys were on a run. You were doing things right. I mean, you were 3-0 going into that game. But did you see things level up? Did you see this kind of added burst of inspiration moving forward in the tournament?
Dylan, you know, so let me tell you what happened after that, right? We're sitting with the coaches that night, and we start talking about, hey, guys, we're 4-0. We're guaranteed 5th place. We're going to Italy. And we look at each other and is that so? Really? So what happens now is we won the first 4 games, but now we have the 3 best teams to play. So although we're feeling really good, the next game was, I want to say after Germany came, now was it the Netherlands? Oh, Spain. It was Luis Soho's Spain team. And, you know, we kind of talked amongst the coaches and we just said, you know, there's not nobody ever coaches to lose, but we're not going to show them our best. And we went out and it was competitive for a while. Spain ended up beating us. I think the score was 16-9 that day. And it was kind of like a men's softball game. There were just home runs being hit and so on and so forth. Now, we get to Italy. Who do we have game 1? Spain. They're looking past us. All we do is throw Joey Wagman on the mound, who throws a complete game shutout. We beat him 3-0. We go from losing 16-9 6 days later to beating Spain 3-0 in game 1 in the Olympic qualifier. Okay. Spain beats us 16-9. The next day we have the Netherlands. The European champion Netherlands, 8th in the world, 9th in the world. I mean, these guys are just talented up and down, man. They put it on us too in Germany. I think they beat us like 13-4. Now we get to Italy and we have just beaten Spain 3-0, and we have the Netherlands. Here's a great story. One of my pitchers, John Muscat, who ex-Cincinnati Reds guy, his arm's not feeling great. And I called, I don't know if I DM'd him or, you know, I texted him, called him, whatever. And I said, hey, Johnny, I need you in relief tomorrow. He says, Holtzy, can I come down to your room? I need to talk to you. So he comes down to my room. He says, Holtzy, I don't know how many bullets I have left in the chamber. My arm's not feeling good. I'm hurting, dude. Every pitch may be my last pitch. That's kind of how I'm living right now. I don't want to waste those bullets in relief. I want the ball against the Netherlands. I'm going to give you everything I got. And if everything I got is the last time I ever play this game, I'm going to leave it out on the field. So this is a guy who's just given me potentially the last appearance of his career all he does after we had lost 13-4 5 days later is go out and throw 4 2/3, 1 run. We go on to beat the 8th-ranked team in the world 8-1 after they had just beaten us 13-4. I mean, what do you say about that? You know, as a coach, you know, this guy literally, when you talk about leaving it out on the field, Dylan, leaving it out on the ice, why are you going to save anything? And this guy gave us everything. Now we are playing in the last game of Germany. We have Italy. Italy's an unbelievable team, professional. They got 8 coaches. They have an advanced scouting system. They're watching all of our games. Great ball game. I want to say it's like 3-2 us. They tie it 3-3 late, and they end up walking off on us 4-3. So we get out of Germany 4-3, which was good enough for 5th place. Game 3 in the Olympic qualifiers, we have Italy. So now it's like kind of a repeat of Germany and Germany. We have Italy in Italy. It's a night game. There's fans, places going crazy. And it's a 2-2 baseball game. It's the 8th inning. It's getting late. We get a runner on. And I don't remember how we moved them over, but I do remember it was 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Mitch Glasser lays down one of the greatest safety squeezes I've ever seen in my life. The first baseman comes and charges, picks it up and bobbles it. We score a run. They bring in this guy named Pat Venditti. Who's Pat Venditti? I know who he is because I'm in baseball. Pat Venditti's a minor league pitcher who pitches righty and lefty. He's an ambidextrous professional pitcher. I've always wanted to see him. I just never wanted to see him against me. We go on to score 5 runs off Venditti. We just beat Italy 8-2 in Italy. Holy crap. We're 3-0. We just beat the best 3 teams that just beat our asses less than a week ago in Germany. And who do we have left? The Czech Republic, who we beat in Germany, and South Africa, who we know nothing about. All we got to do is beat Czech Republic. All we got to do is beat them, and we clinched the Olympics. Well, anyone that loves baseball knows better. The Czech Republic showed up that next night, and they had our number. Bad. We'd score 1, they'd score 2. Their pitcher, anytime we got anything going, they would just shut it down. And before you knew it, they had one big inning. I'm going to say they scored 4 or 5 runs. It was one big inning, and we just couldn't come back that night. Final score was Czech Republic 7, Israel 4. Now, we are the only team in the Olympic qualifiers that controls our own destiny. Why? Because we beat the Netherlands, we beat Spain, we beat Italy. The Czech Republic had lost to one of them, so they would need us to lose again for them to have the head-to-head against us. So all we need to do is take care of South Africa. Well, we don't know a whole lot about them. So here's the only rah-rah that I gave to the guys, and true story. We're about 5 minutes away from the stadium, getting ready to play South Africa. The weather's bad. It's raining. What was supposed to be like a 5 p.m. game, they moved to 12 noon. So there weren't going to be a whole lot of fans there. And I'm telling you, they didn't let us take on-field batting practice. They were just scared that they weren't going to be able to get the game in. So we're on the bus and everybody's kind of, there's like nervous energy. You know, you just can't tell how the guys are feeling right now. And it's about 5 minutes before we're getting ready to get to the stadium and get off the bus. And I stand up on the bus and very calmly, I just go, hey, boys, we are the only team in this entire tournament that controls our own destiny. All we have to do is take care of our business. And if we do that, we leave the hotel as a baseball team and we come back as Olympians. And the bus just goes nuts. Like people are banging the windows and banging the roof. And poor South Africa never knew what hit them, man. I mean, that game was over in the first inning. You know, we ended up gonging them in 8 innings. I think we beat them 11-1. And I, you know, like I said, you know, we took care of it early. We took care of it often. We scored a lot of runs early and really kind of took the pressure off of ourselves to really kind of just be able to enjoy that baseball game, because it was just, they were never a threat to us in that particular game. And here we are, you know, in the now 2021 Tokyo Olympics.
So you're the first Israeli team to qualify for Olympic Games in '76, Montreal Games. How did it feel when you were back on that bus as Olympians? What was the atmosphere like? What was it like in the locker room? Take us to that moment.
The locker room was crazy. I mean, listen, a lot of hugs and, you know, Dylan talked about, you know, being a cohesive bunch. When you think about what we did, we took, you know, 24 guys in a 6-week period and they became family. They became brothers. So the hugging and the celebrating and, you know, absolutely insane. I don't know that the weight of the Olympics really kind of set in. I mean, you know, listen, it's great. But until we kind of, you know, and what's unfortunate, like in any other situation like this was, you know, we get back to the hotel and people are showering, we have dinner, and then literally we're leaving the next morning to come home. Some people didn't even have like time to say goodbye to each other because, you know, we're flying back to our, you know, our homes, which are all over the place. So I you know, I don't want to speak for the guys, but I know for me, it took me a while to be home, and it took me a while talking to friends of my, like, you know, my closest friends. Because for me, you know, again, I say I'm just a baseball coach. I'm a coach that lets, you know, my players handle their business and at the end of the day, but it's Holtz, you're an Olympian. Holtz, you're going to the Olympics. And it took a while to really set in and be okay to even talk about it, because it was so far and such a crazy dream. When you think about, our goal was just getting out of the B pool to compete in the A pool. Nobody took it seriously. All we wanted to do was get Israel to the A pool for the first time. So, you know, did this really happen? Like, you know, pinch me. And, you know, are we really doing this? And the answer is yes. And you know, what makes it that much crazier is, you know, powerhouse countries like the USA, like Canada, still haven't qualified because of the pandemic. You know, a lot of the last two tournaments were pushed back. And here's little Israel. And we're waiting on whoever's going to be the last two teams to join us, which makes it crazy.
So this crazy high happens. You guys know you're in the games. You're going to be Olympians once you set foot in that opening ceremony stadium, which is one of the greatest experiences you could have. Pandemic hits and everything changes, and sports in general are on the bench. What do you do for these players to kind of keep that spirit alive enough that it's there, but not that it's like burning out? How do you keep these guys inspired and motivated, but also seeing the big picture?
So for the first couple of weeks when this started, I can't tell you the amount of interviews I was doing, about the Olympics and so on and so forth. So first things first, right? As I told you guys off the air, I had COVID-19. I had it March 21st. I had it for 10 days. I had every symptom of the virus except for the respiratory part. So I was down for 10, 11 days. Again, for an older guy, I'm in good shape. I take care of myself. I work out all the time. Here's the bottom line, and this is what we talked about. And this is what I talk about as a coach, and this is what I talk about as a game coach. This is what I talk about with people in life and trying to teach them life skills. Control what you control. Period. Everyone else is in the same predicament that we are. Every athlete is going through the same lack of training, lack of facilities. But at the end of the day, people are dying from the virus. So we can't lose perspective of the fact that as disappointing as it is, it's not like the Olympics was canceled. It was postponed. Now, what do? This is where the mental, the meditation, the visualization, Zoom, what I'm doing with you guys right now. We try to have a weekly meeting with guys. And again, it's tough because I got guys in a million different time zones all over the country, all over the world. But basically, it's just to say, how you guys doing? How you feeling? Where's your head? What are you up to? Do you need help with anything? How's your arm feeling? We'll have our trainers on with pictures asking them what's going on. So we're doing the best we can. When the guys found out that I was ill, I think that got them a little nervous, which, just again, it kind of filled my heart that these guys really cared about me. So the guys were checking in just to make sure that, everybody was okay. For the people that don't know, I live like 30 miles north of New York City, so kind of right in the epicenter of all this craziness. But Dylan, it's going to impact certain people. They're going to be a year older. They're not going to have had training, live at bats, competition. But again, nobody has. So it's trying, and not to be corny, I don't want to sound like anybody's, parents here, life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. In baseball, we say, two-strike curveball, take it to right field. Everybody's doing the best that we can do in an absolute horrendous time. And we're just hoping that, everything just gets better for everybody and that we do have an opportunity to be able to get on the field next year. Because if it got postponed after that, I'd be really nervous that it would get canceled.
Fair enough. So because of the Olympics, because you have, players going all around the world, you're also having interest from other players. So you recently added World Series champion, 4-time All-Star Ian Kinsler to the roster. So first question is, how will he impact the team? But also, are you looking to add more players, add different players, younger players? How are you going to change the roster due to this delay with all the circumstances?
So again, Danny, not so easy to add players for several reasons. One, like we talked about prior, they need to make Aliyah. So let's say, we found a guy and, we need to make sure that we would have enough time to get them through the process and confirmed. I want to say it's like 6 months. You have to be a citizen of the country you're representing for at least 6 months. It may be a year, but at least 6 months prior. It makes it very difficult. Other countries have the same standards that they have to live by, which makes this different than the World Baseball Classic. The World Baseball Classic is you basically just need to have heritage, and you could be a citizen of that country. Here you have to in the Olympics. So Ian Kinsler, when he retired, the paperwork and the Aliyah process, literally, when I tell you, worked, and we got him in 2 days before they shut down the country of Israel due to COVID-19. Ian literally went to his interview with the ministry with a PPE mask on, got it, got in, got out, and he's done. So it's not to say that we're not looking to fortify or change our roster. I'm very happy with where our roster is right now. But we're always looking if, of anybody, and if there's anybody that you can recommend, we're looking. Ian, how's Ian going to impact the team? Well, first and foremost, I'm going to tell you that Ian is an incredible gentleman. He's an incredible gentleman. He's a proud Jew. Very happy to wear the Israel colors. He was so disappointed that he couldn't spend more time in Israel working with the kids and doing clinics and stuff like that while he was there. How's he going to impact the team? And you think I'm going to kind of be a wise ass by saying this, but I'm not. I don't mean to be funny in saying this. Ian's the rookie on this team. Okay, now Ian's presence is going to be huge here from a leadership aspect. He's a guy that's been there, and World Series champions, like you said. Ian Kinsler's never been an Olympian, so he's just like the rest of the players. He, may have a little bit more credential, next to his name, but we bust his chops all the time because he is a rookie. He's a rookie on Team Israel.
We have a question for you from Dan Berlin. Is there any one particular coach that influenced your coaching style the most, either a former coach of yours or someone you've met or read about? And how does it impact how you coach Team Israel today?
Sure. So Dan, that's a great question. I think one of the most, if I am successful, I mean, maybe I'm just successful because we're here, but I think one of the things about me, which a lot of people don't know, is at 54 years old, I still play baseball. I play in collegiate leagues and I play in men's leagues, age appropriate. So I play 18 and over and I play 50 and over, and like 5 different leagues, all different teams. Why am I telling you that? I know how hard this game is to play. I know how hard this game can be on you mentally and emotionally when things are going bad. Nobody makes errors on purpose. Nobody strikes out on purpose. So for me, I've always been, when a guy makes a mistake, instead of getting in his ass about it, I'm going to put an arm around him and we're going to talk a little bit and say, hey, you know what? Next time I might try it this way. With Team Israel, Dan, going back to your question, I think my style was probably more of the 96 or 98 Yankees, where I say I was kind of like a Joe Torre in as much as I knew I had really talented guys. They bought into what we were trying to do. They understood that I wasn't going to put up with anybody's ego at any level. And then I was just going to let them play. I was going to make decisions when the decisions needed to be made. But other than that, the guys got to this level because they know how to play this game. And I wasn't going to stick my chest out and have an ego in any of this. Because, again, myself, I'm pretty much just looking to do what's best for the team to get us the win. In my years doing this, I think one of my best attributes of coaching is you'll really never know if we're up 10 runs or down 10 runs. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. I just try and live in the moment, live in the pitch or this out or this inning. And I think the players feed off of that type of energy. If a coach is nervous and walking around pacing, the players are going to pick up on that. And I think it's, it works the other way as well, where, the players will work off of positivity. And that's just, I don't think I modeled myself off of anybody, but I just think that's kind of the way I choose to live my life and coach.
So you just mentioned before how you're playing baseball, you're in 5 leagues. I'm sure your wife loves that. You also played baseball in Israel. What was that like? And then touch on for us, how do you think the success of Team Israel from the World Baseball Classic now to the Olympics will affect the growth of the sport in the country the size of New Jersey?
So I'm not embarrassed to tell you, my father was pretty religious. He passed away when I was 11 years old. I was bar mitzvahed actually in Israel. But I really didn't practice Judaism in my house growing up. So for me in 2007 to spend 10 weeks in Israel and discover this magical place, this magical country, in addition to playing, I was drafted as a player coach. But in addition to getting to do what I love every day, playing and coaching 6 days a week, was incredible. And getting to see the history of, walking where Jesus walked and walking where Moses walked and listening to stories about, King Solomon and the Maccabees, the real Maccabees. It's heavy, it's just a heavy place. Today, I tell you again, I'm still not religious. I'm going to tell you I've become Zionist. I'm just pro-Israel. I love Israel, and just so proud to be involved in this. But it was a tremendous way for me to kind of get back to my roots and my history and reconnect with such a magical place in Israel. For me, Israel baseball. So Israel baseball today means that there are about 1,000 kids total within the country playing baseball. They play softball as well. The World Baseball Classic, I think, definitely helped somewhat. I think the Olympics is bigger. And why do I say that? Not because I'm involved in it, because these are actual citizens of Israel. They are passport holders of Israel. And, for me, I truly, nothing would make me happier to tell you that because of this incredible run, that 2 years from now, instead of 1,000 kids, there are 1,500, 1,800, 2,000. And every 2-3 years, they can double the amount of interest that they're getting in Israel baseball. That to me would say that this has all been for the right reason, and this has all been really successful. There were 2 guys running Israel baseball now at the grassroots level, Yaniv Rosenfeld and Ophir Katz. And what they're doing today, which is so big, is they're trying to introduce baseball at the kindergarten level in the school system. So within a phys ed course in Israel, there may be a baseball section, which never happened before. And, so it's just real neat. It's neat for me to get to go back to Israel a couple times a year and work with the little ones and start to train them. I work with the coaches as well. So I help the coaches on what I'd like to see them work on. And then just staying involved is awesome.
Well, I always say for me my favorite thing about sport is it brings people together. It gives people something to watch and to build hope from. It displays the upper echelon of the human potential when it comes to our spirit and our will. And I think, developing baseball in Israel is giving these young kids heroes to look up to and something to aspire to. And it not only puts more kids in baseball, but it makes them believe that, the improbable is possible. And I think that's such an incredible gift to give to the country, because it really brings a culture and a togetherness that I think sports is so spectacular at doing. I do want to ask you, who do you think is Israel's biggest competition for Tokyo?
Whoever we're playing that day. I don't get into that stuff, Dylan. I was in a big press conference and Japan, there was Japanese media there. And when they opened it up, and there must have been 40 or 50 media there. And when they opened it up, Japan asked the same question. And my answer to that, I swear to you, I mean, it's documented. I went, Japan, right? And he said, yeah. I go, are you guys even in this thing? And we just had fun with it. You mentioned improbable. I got to give you one of the greatest things that Israel gave back to me. Up near the Galilee, which is northeast Israel, right on the border of Jordan and the Galilee, we got to go to a school and teach baseball. Doesn't sound like a big deal, right? In this school, enrolled are Jews, Arabs, and Bedouins. All in the same classrooms, all learning together, living together, loving each other. And we got to teach baseball to these kids. And now you talk to me about improbable. That to me made me the happiest person in the world, because when people talk about improbability, you tell me where you can see a Jew, an Arab, and some Bedouins playing and learning together. And as a coach of a baseball team, we got to go into that school, spend time with them, teach them, talk to them. And it showed me, and I couldn't wait to share this on social media, that like anything else in this world, it's the adults that ruin it for kids. I
mean, if we all lived like kids and thought like kids, the world would be a much better place. I think that's, undisputed.
Sure.
Thank you so much for your thoughts and for joining us. It's been such an honor and a pleasure to hear your stories. And we're so proud of all of Team Israel and everything that you're doing for the country and the team. And so we wish you the best of luck. We hope everyone in the world heals, obviously, and things get back to normal, and then Israel gets back to kicking ass.
I really thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure. I'd love to do this again sometime. And, if anybody has any questions, that they want to ask, you can share my email address with them privately if you'd like. And, when it comes to talking baseball, my pleasure. I'll talk until I got no more breath in my lungs. And if I can help anybody with anything, you let me know. And I'd love to see you guys again.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.